People have this feeling that legacy players, they're snobs playing with their expensive cards right now. Truth is, we got them when they were not that expensive. We just want people to play with. We have a lot of players right now proxying stuff in their decks, and we're so happy when they become full-fledged players.
If I understand correctly, being a legacy player is a journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
More than just building your commander deck or your standard, your modern deck. Itong long-term siya. Because you guys started your journey, I'm glad to hear that, na proxying is okay.
It's fine.
Again, if you're playing in a group and you're playing a tournament, I'm sure people would be willing to like borrow decks because there's multiple.
We land real cards with each other when people want to join.
Card pooling.
Yeah, card pooling. Yeah.
Welcome to the cafe. It's another episode of The Games We Play by Playcafe. My name is Leo, your host, at your service, talking you through another awesome avenue of gaming, specifically for Magic the Gathering. We invited a good friend of ours, Paul, to talk about the L word. That's right, legacy.
That's legacy, right?
Paul, how you doing?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks. Just came from work. Happy to be here.
So, after work, ito yung idea mo ng unwinding, playing some Magic the Gathering?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's my biggest thing for mental health, so to speak, probably these days.
Yeah, and it goes both ways. For your mental health and against your mental
Oh
health.
yes, definitely goes both ways.
Tabletop gaming can get stressful, but that's why we love it. It's a game of extremes. But real quick, if you're enjoying the podcast, and at the end, if you found out that there's a lot of value in what we talked about, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Play Cafe is located in Upper McKinley Hill in BGC. We're open from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then on weekends, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. We play all sorts of games. That's why this podcast exists, to talk about all of the games we play. Now, this episode is about legacy.
Right.
Of Magic the Gathering. Already, I think may mga nanonood, they're like, legacy. Real quick, let's start with your history with the game, because we all started somewhere to get to this point in our career.
Sure.
How'd you get into Magic?
Yeah, so I'm probably dating myself, but I started when Ice Age came out.
Poetic.
It feels like the Ice Age, definitely. So that was around 1996. My first sanctioned tournament was 1997. I played a deck called Turbo Stasis.
What was that, type 2?
They called it Type 2.
You're on type 2, yeah. Standard. Yeah, Arvin talked to me about this in an earlier episode. So, it took you about a year of kitchen table, and then bang.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got hooked ever since. Played all sorts of formats.
What are these all sorts of formats? So standard muna. What else caught your eye?
Okay. So before it was called
because we know standard. Yeah, we know standard now.
Oh, yeah. Oh wait, now it's called standard. Before it was called Type 2.
Type 2.
Yeah. There was probably, you could guess, there was a Type 1. So that was the one format where any card in Magic could be played, right?
Just
any card, yeah. So that is called Vintage right now. So that's the format where any card from 1993 up to now can be played. It has a restricted list, so there are certain powerful cards that can only have one copy on that. And that's the format where you have like the most expensive cards. The power, yeah, that's it. Few people play that nowadays. But something in between was invented over the years. Something between standard and vintage.
At the time,
yeah.
Because of Magic being so young, these formats were ways for Wizards to allow people to enjoy the game.
Right.
And there was like, we need something in between these two.
Right. Because it became bigger and bigger. And that's where formats such as Legacy and Modern came about.
Yeah, I remember Modern. Like, I remember the room I was in, the year it was, and what I was doing when Modern was announced.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. So you're old player as well.
Yeah, you could say that. I was spending money I did not have to start this game.
So did we all.
Yeah, but the fact that I still play it, you still play it to this day, means Magic is something special. To you, Legacy is something special. So when Legacy was introduced, was that your jump in immediately, or were you like playing other formats and like, maybe I'll try that eventually?
Oh, actually, it wasn't. I didn't jump into Legacy.
Standard ka pa talaga nun?
I actually quit for a while. I quit for around 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I was studying at the time, taking advanced studies.
Priorities, yeah.
Priorities, yeah. Life got in the way.
Of course.
But then people said, "Hey, you're a former Magic player. Why don't you play again?" And I'm like, "Well, my cards are too old. They're not really good for standard or modern."
Hold up. You quit But you did not get rid of your cards.
I didn't get rid of my
Oh,
cards.
you just sat on them. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just not going to play.
Right.
Okay.
And that's how they kind of convinced me to get back. They were like, hey, Paul, you have these cards right now. They have value. You might as well play with them.
Oh.
So cards, if you guys are familiar with dual lands, for example.
Duels, yeah.
I still remember, I bought my dual lands when they were 300 pesos each.
What? Stonks.
Yeah, so when people discovered I had them and I wasn't even putting them into sleeves, they said, come on, use them if you're not gonna sell them. So that's how I came into Legacy.
So the entry for you was not so high, and it was natural because parang nag-load game. Like you had your cards, and you're like, oh, a
Right.
good 80% of these are legacy viable.
Right.
And that's how you got in.
Yeah, and I might still get in. Yeah.
Okay, so you took a 10-year hiatus, and then you found Legacy,
Right.
which is what you call an eternal format, right?
Yes.
Okay, so walk me through this, because when people say eternal, one might be construed by non-rotating. One might be
Right,
confused.
right.
So, ano ibig sabihin ng eternal?
Okay, so eternal formats in Magic, they're typically referring to 60 card constructed format.
One-on-ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
like one-on-ones, 60 cards, 4 copies each. But the card pool you can use would be from the very instant Magic was born, 1993, all the way up until now. So all cards throughout the history of Magic you could use. A good example of a non-rotating format,
But not eternal.
not eternal, is modern. So you can't use all the cards since Magic was produced, but from that certain point where that modern border came out, cards don't get obsolete. It doesn't rotate out like standard. You can still keep on using them. So that's the difference.
So it just doesn't check 1 and 2 boxes, and that's the difference between eternal
Right.
and non-rotating.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, your jump in to Legacy. Do you remember the moment where you're like, I like this format? This reminds me of when I was playing Standard for the first time.
Oh, right. Okay.
What was that like?
It felt there was a really good experience when playing Legacy. It felt like chess. It's like from the start of the game, even before playing your first fetch land, you have so many micro decisions to make.
Because of the cards allowed in this format.
Yes, because of so many cards allowed, the strategies are so diverse. So there are so many micro decisions and choices. So that's what blew me away with Legacy, and still up to this day, it's like that.
Do you remember the first Legacy deck you built? Because
Yeah.
they told you, right? Oh, you have duels, pwede yan.
Yeah.
But what was the first deck you built and played with?
Okay, so naturally, as a person coming back, I was kind of drawn into combo.
Okay.
So that has an allure for new players and returning players because you feel so powerful.
It's like a puzzle. Like,
Yeah.
I got it. Like
Right.
Exodia.
Right.
So what was it?
It's like a puzzle, you feel powerful, and you could theoretically win on the first turn.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did horribly. But that was the first deck I built.
The intention was there.
Yeah.
What deck was this?
It was called Storm.
Storm.
Yeah.
You're grape shotting people?
No. At that we use in this format, we use Tendrils of Agony.
ANT.
Yeah, DMT.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
See, so I know a little bit of the terminology because again, you get into Magic, you know some cards, you're like, oh, and then you consume content. So I'm
Right.
like, oh, yon. Okay,
Right.
so you tried to Tendrils people.
Yeah.
Did not work.
Did not
Did you
work.
net deck?
Kinda.
You just looked
because-
at a guide, like a
yeah,
list.
I looked at a
Okay.
guide. And that's where you kind of appreciate, it's not just about getting the most powerful deck and beating other people ass out of it. No. Legacy is that one format that rewards specialization,
Creativity.
but also practice with a specific type of deck.
And that only caters to you because of your lines.
Yes.
And your metagame.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we'll talk about metagame in just a bit. So, that was your first deck. You said you got wiped.
Yeah.
You tanked it. What did you do after?
I eventually settled on a deck called Lands.
Lands.
Now it's very unique because
Okay.
in Legacy and in Magic before, you had 3 archetypes. You had control, you had aggro, and you had combo.
Did mid-range exist back then?
Mid-range, yes.
But it was like,
It's kind of between aggro and
Control.
control sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
So the Lands deck was so weird.
Where did it fall? What was it?
It was nothing.
Okay.
It was because it could be any of those
At any time.
At any time. So it could play wastelands every turn.
And you just
yeah, or it could make a 2020 creature
Merit
instantly,
Lage.
Merit Lage every
Okay.
turn, or it could control the entire board with, if you're familiar with Punishing Fire and Grove
Yeah.
of the Burn Willows.
Yeah.
And
The land, yeah.
Yeah, and Tabernacle and
Okay.
Waste and Maze of Ith to take
Yes.
care of creatures.
Yeah.
So you could do all of that. And what the weirdest part is that it was almost 40 lands in a 60 card deck.
And
Nice.
lands are so hard to interact with.
Yes, yeah. They're like your spells.
Yes.
So there's, even in any other format, like in Vintage or whatnot, there's nothing like it.
So where'd you get this idea? From Storm combo,
Yeah.
how'd you land on lands?
Oh, because I just happened to have some cards that were available already at that time.
Uh-huh.
I got them for much less.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, hey, there's a deck where I could actually use these. It turned out to be lands, and just that idea of having a deck full of lands, it felt so wild. So
And it felt so different
So
from
different,
combo.
yes.
So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So you built it.
Yep, I built it, and that's what I kind of used for more than 10, I think 12 years now. Tournaments here and abroad.
One of these decks is lands, right?
Oh, that's this green one.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
can I see?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Real quick. Talk me through as I play it. Okay, so
Oh, okay.
this is the lands deck, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, what it wants is it tries to get this enchantment into play. I'm not sure if it's here.
Exploration.
Exploration, yes. So exploration lets you play a land, one more land every turn. Now, since the concept is that your lands are your spells, you have so many unique lands. You have Maze of Ith.
OG printing. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
From the dark.
Right. You have Rishadenport. Sorry. You have Caracas. So things like that. Now, you have lots of ways to get any of these lands into play with cards like Crop Rotation. All right. So, at least when I first started out, the main thing to do was just use this as much as possible. So,
Wasteland.
yeah. So so the plan A was to just destroy all lands of any opposing deck with Wasteland. Everyone uses almost non-basic decks, but you're probably wondering, how do you recur all of these? So that brings us to the other key card of the deck, which is this, Life of the Loam.
Simple. Like you see this a lot in Commander.
Oh, yeah.
It's a relatively new card. Like it came out in the last, 20 years. Never mind.
Yeah, right. So that's what you kind of do. You use all these lands again and again. And how do you actually win? I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Dark Depths combo.
Yeah, you make the Merit Lage.
The Merit Lage.
So you make a 2020 flyer.
Right. So yeah, that's basically what the deck does.
So this deck, your lands deck, was your re-entry. And am I wrong to say that this is what got you hooked back in? Like, okay,
Oh, yeah.
that's it. I lost with combo.
Right.
I built lands. I like it.
Yep. We basically went with other legacy players from the Philippines to Japanese Eternal Weekend tournaments, Grand Prix. This is what I always use.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is lands. We got a couple more decks here. This is
This is Eldrazi.
Eldrazi.
This is a bit recent. This one is Delver.
okay. I know Delver.
Yep.
So is this Tempo?
Yeah. So Tempo is like a combination between aggro
And control. Yeah.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. So small burn, little counter spell here and there.
Yep.
And you flip your Delver, 3 in the air, 3 in the air, 3 in the air.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
So there's a modern version of this which allows me to comprehend it a little more.
Oh, cool.
Eldrazi though, is that RAM? Is that like Tron?
Same idea where you want to put lands that produce a lot of mana and you have a lot of haymakers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what Eldrazi in Legacy.
Yeah, you just overwhelm people.
Right.
And then you okay, cool. Now this is amazing. Again, I understand a little more now having a conversation with an actual legacy player because as an outsider, I'm more of a commander player.
Right.
I've let go of almost every single 60 card deck I have. I have a pauper deck.
Oh.
I play standard online, Magic Arena. But that aside, this is intimidating. This is scary
we
to
get
me.
that a lot.
Yeah.
We
So
get that a
can you
lot.
share other misconceptions or like things that people think, but once they start to play the game, once they start to play Legacy, it's like, oh, it's not so bad.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the biggest misconception we all see, not just myself, but other legacy players, is that when people watch us play, they're like, "Oh, that didn't end on turn two, on turn three. Oh, why is this taking so long?" So that's the thing. Yes, there are a lot of powerful cards in the deck, but there are also interactions against that. Turn one wins, yes, that's definitely possible, but like I don't know if people believe me, but legacy games can take really, really long, especially if there's a control deck involved. So it's much more varied than people could think, right?
If anything, this might be the one format that could be the most diverse.
It actually, I believe so.
Yeah, even more than Commander, because Commanders, you're locked in by this one leader, by this one general, Commander, and then you have to build your deck, and then ang daling mag-hive mind kasi sa Commander because
Yeah.
it's casual, it's social, so you're like, oh,
Right.
I see a dude. There's three ways you could mirror somebody because you have three opponents all the time.
Right.
But for Legacy, it's like, I have thousands of cards at my disposal,
Right.
3 decades worth of design.
Yes.
So the variety and
variety,
the
yeah.
not just the variety of cards, but on decks, but the gameplay.
Yeah, just want to add on that.
Yeah.
So in Commander, it's great, for example, to have a strategy that
Yeah.
affects everyone at once.
Yes.
So that's great. I love Commander as well. There are archetypes, however, that can be seen in Legacy that can't be seen anywhere else.
Well,
So
lands was a surprising.
that's what
is
right. Control is traditional control is the other.
like Drogo control.
Like Drago control, that's still viable in Legacy.
I miss that.
Yeah. Actually, the Delver type of the tempo archetype, that's really, I guess it's in Modern and Legacy.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's not something viable when there are more than 2 opponents.
And sometimes,
More than one opponent.
sometimes you look for that.
Yeah.
I like the feeling of I draw your turn.
Right.
I draw your turn.
Right.
Or even specifically tempos. Like again, you're right. It's chess-like.
Yes.
And if you want to take this knob up to the max, hindi mo siya magagawa in. Well, you can in standard and modern, but this is the ultimate expression.
Right.
The purest besides vintage.
Dual Commander comes close, surprisingly.
Yes.
I feel that. The one-on-one tension, micro decisions,
Yep.
I kind of feel that as well.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's a certain charm to the optimization of the 60 card for a set.
Yeah,
It's very different. Okay, here's one misconception I think that is true, despite it being one of the things that outsiders will say.
I think I know what's coming.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. But the one thing, however, is that we love to correct. Legacy players, at least the ones who are really into Legacy, they want to play above anything else. If you want to play Legacy, proxy, where people have this feeling that, oh, Legacy players, they're snobs playing with their expensive cards right now. Truth is, we got them when they were not that expensive. We just want people to play with. We have a lot of players right now proxying stuff in their decks, and we're so happy when they become full-fledged players. We don't care.
So if I understand correctly, being a Legacy player is a journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
More than just building your Commander deck or your standard, your modern deck. Ito long-term siya.
Right.
Because you guys started your journey in 1996.
All right.
Because that's when you got a majority of your cards.
Right.
And I'm glad to hear that. Proxying is okay.
It's fine.
Again, if you're playing in a group and you're playing a tournament, I'm sure people would be willing to borrow decks because there's multiple.
We lend real cards with each other when people want to join.
Card pooling.
Yeah, card pooling. Yeah. And there are more tournaments right now that allow for proxies than before.
Yeah, and I like how you put it that we just want to play.
Just want to play.
Playing is the number one thing, not collecting,
Right.
not sitting around appreciating our thousands of dollars worth of cardboard it's about the game.
If anything, that's kind of like the downside, because because most of us, we don't intend to sell down the line. Maybe when we're really old, but
Yeah.
not in the near future.
It's for to play.
It's really just to play. We love the game.
And I get that because I think that's why I like Magic.
Right.
And I respect chess. You see the difference?
Yes.
I love Magic. I respect chess because card games, Magic specifically, there's so much creative expression.
Right.
And when you're allowed to play with 3 decades worth of cards design,
Yep.
you can do so much.
Oh yeah.
You can do so much, and this is the ultimate expression of it. Save for vintage.
I agree.
Okay, let's dip our pool into vintage a little bit. You showed me a vintage deck earlier. You have one in possession.
Yeah, I do play vintage.
Yeah. Again, because you were playing at the start of the game, you had these cards.
Yeah.
Real quick before we talk more about legacy, kumusta yung vintage? What's the difference?
Okay, so for me, the peak of vintage was when it was not as fast as it is right now. It still felt. Let me qualify it a bit. I like Magic games that feel like chess. There's a lot of thinking, analysis. I don't like Magic games where the deck carries you. It's like you don't have to do much, just run by it and then you win.
Yeah.
My regret with vintage is that it's too powerful. That's to the point where it sometimes feels like it's giving you the win.
It wasn't even a game.
Yeah.
It was just, did you make the right decision? If not, it's over.
Yeah, it's more like, did you make the right decision keeping your first set of 7
That's
cards?
more of a bigger decision than anything else.
Yes, that's the thing. So I'm not saying vintage is all like that. It's just like, it's more like that now than it used to be. It's still very fun. You get to play with the most powerful cards in the game.
Of course.
Nothing beats that.
Yeah.
But for like the chess-like experience,
It's hard to get that. Yeah, it's hard to get it more consistently in vintage.
Yeah.
It happens a lot in legacy.
Yeah, because vintage is so powerful. I mean, it's
too swingy. It's swingy.
Yeah, it's very swingy.
Yeah.
It's very swingy.
Okay, now that we're talking about power, we're talking not power category of cards. Like that's nowhere in legacy. I'm talking about like power levels
Okay.
and just how these decks and cards interact. Let's talk about the metagame.
Oh, sure.
Again, you're looking at 30 years worth of design plus and growing. What kind of decks come through? Like here, example, sa Playcafe,
Oh,
right?
okay.
We play every Thursday nights. Legacy, there's like a dozen dudes, give or take, that come in starting like 4 p.m., 5 p.m.
Yep.
Paul here has like 3 decks.
I lend them.
I would like to maybe one day try out. There's Lands, there's Eldrazi, there's Tempo or
Yep.
Delver. What other decks are in the metagame?
Okay, so first, they're classified more generally into 2 types.
Okay.
You have your fair decks and unfair decks.
Okay.
You're probably familiar with that.
Yeah,
trust me.
forget a tier list. This is fair and unfair.
Yes, there's fair and unfair.
Okay.
Now, don't get misconstrued by fair. They can be brutal.
Okay.
So the unfair decks, that's easier to describe. They're basically decks that skirt the rules of Magic.
Okay.
They try to win by a fast combo. The disadvantage is that they tend to be fragile. That's the downside of that.
Okay.
The fair decks, so these are your Delver decks, your control decks, your aggro decks. They all play by the rules. They could get eaten up quickly by an unfair deck if they're not prepared.
Yeah.
Now, the actual decks, for the longest time, Delver was a very popular deck,
Right.
the archetype of Delver. For unfair decks, the most popular are Reanimator type decks.
Okay.
Yep. This is a format where you could cast a first turn Atraxa on turn 1.
Yeah.
First turn, yeah, this is that format.
Because you threw it in the bin, reanimated
Reanimated
it.
it,
Sure,
yeah.
I'm at like 12 health, but who
Yep.
cares?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's unfair.
That's
so
unfair.
decks are your combo decks.
Yes, basically
your
combo decks.
your crazy engine decks.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
How would you categorize your lands?
That's why it's a bit weird. It's hard to because it can be either.
Yeah, it's both a fair deck
And an unfair, yeah.
at the same time and an unfair
Yeah.
deck. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
How about Eldrazi?
Eldrazi is definitely fair.
Yeah.
Delver is fair.
It's fair.
Actually, I personally like fair decks.
Yes.
Because they have more interaction.
Because that's where the chess-like things happen,
Yes.
right? Like I have to calculate for math.
Right.
I have to set up blockers. I have to
Right.
understand like how much of a clock he has on me.
Right.
But unfair decks, can you give me more examples? Because it's so easy. Like if it's the Reanimator deck, you have to hit it with the graveyard hate,
Right.
or you have to play around. They're throwing into the bin.
Right.
What else is a unfair
So
deck?
another unfair deck is called Sneak and Show.
Sneak
So,
attack
yeah,
and show and
Sneak
tell.
attack and show and tell.
Okay.
So that aims to put an Emrakul
Yeah.
as soon as possible,
Right.
an Omniscience as soon as possible. That's another unfair deck.
Okay.
You can see why it's unfair.
Yeah. So they're not always combo decks. They are just sometimes illogical value decks.
Yes.
Now, when they get that advantage, it's over.
Yeah. But there are definitely decks at that full extreme side of the spectrum that really try to work on turn one. There's a deck called Oops All Spells.
Oops, all spells.
If you've heard of that.
Wait,
It's a deck with no lands.
no lands at all.
That's why it's called Oops
Is
All
this
Spells.
the Cascade deck?
No, it
Because there's a
tries-
modern version of this.
Oh, I'm not sure if this is in modern,
Yeah.
but because Legacy has access to so much fast mana, they could put a creature that I'm not sure what
They can just spirit guides.
Yeah, with Spirit Guides,
That's it?
Dark Critwells, Chrome Moxes, etc. And then your creature when it comes into play,
Mm-hmm.
basically you put your entire library into the graveyard, cast Dread Return,
And then you have a
and
board.
then you have a creature called Thassa's Oracle that wins on the
So
spot.
you oracle.
Yeah,
you oracle out. Okay.
And you do that on turn one, and it's very consistent.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's like the extreme side.
Even commander players would know when you
Yeah.
get oracled out, doesn't feel good.
Yep.
Okay,
Right.
so
yeah.
those are the examples of fair and unfair decks.
Right.
What's the meta like here at Play Cafe?
It's mostly fair. Yeah, it's mostly fair because again, if unfair works are pretty good if you know the meta is not prepared for it.
When you can sneak it in. It's
Yeah,
like,
when you can stick it in.
Okay.
Yeah, but right now, everyone has their own pet deck,
Mm-hmm.
and they all are kind of fair because that's what makes it fun, really.
Okay, and you can't meta it out because people are
No,
going
you
to
can't.
hurt
You
your
can't.
unfair deck.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It's
I love
hard
it.
to meta out fair decks, and that's the nice side about it.
Also because there's sideboarding in Legacy.
Yep.
Same 15 card.
Yep, 15 card sideboard. In
Okay.
fact, that's a big part of the strategy as well. How you prepare your sideboard. So all of these things. This plays into the chess-like side of Magic.
I love it. That's what Legacy is, and I hope for all of those players who are curious and are reminiscing with the run through of the meta and the cards we're mentioning. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you have it sitting in your binder. For our friends listening that are suddenly curious, like, I want to play, I want to try. I'll come over one Thursday night.
Right.
How would you suggest they go about that to start their Legacy journey?
Oh, okay. So we've had several new players lately. And when I say we, it's like everyone in our playbook. We always say play Delver, because that's the one that will really teach you how to think with all these micro decisions. So there's a saying that the most skillful card to play, and not just in Legacy, possibly in the whole of the game,
In all of Magic.
in all of Magic, is Brainstorm in Legacy.
Brainstorming.
That's the most skillful card you can play.
What do I throw back in?
Yeah, what do I throw back in? When do I do it? There's no clear rule.
Yeah.
How do I do it?
Yeah, do I shuffle after?
Or yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but it's hard to describe what it's like, why it's like that,
Until you play.
until you really play it. Yeah.
So by playing Delver, borrowing a deck, proxying it up, watching Delver matchups, that's how would-be Legacy players can learn a lot.
Yep. We coach them actually. Oh, wait, even if we have mini tournaments with my opponent using my own deck, I coach him. I say, this is what you sideboard against me because this is what it works best against my deck.
Or-
so we're like that.
You should have done this. Next game, try it.
Right? Exactly.
Okay. Because again, this is the penultimate form of Magic the Gathering. 60 card competitive like Legacy, nothing touches it except Vintage.
Yep.
But that's a whole nother conversation. We might do an episode on Vintage very soon.
We can do vintage some other time.
We can. But yeah, no, again, we would like to invite you guys to come on, join us. Play Cafe Thursday nights. People come in as early as 4 or 5 p.m., play testing, and then there's a little tournament. Come join us, play some Legacy. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Wish you luck tonight.
All right.
Congratulations for helping
Dan.
cultivate this community for us. Magic the Gathering, we play it here alongside the other games we play at Play Cafe. Like us and follow on social media, playcafebgc. Play Cafe everywhere. We'll see you on the next episode. Like and subscribe. He's Paul. I'm Leo. Peace out.
Bye bye. Thank you.